Buongiorno. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have another episode of my most popular series here on YouTube, testing hyped up niche fragrances. I'm going to talk today about 12 fragrances that are very hyped and tell you my final thoughts on them and if they are worth the hype and worth your money or not. I did a first impression on these fragrances. I will leave the video linked down below as well as a playlist of all the previous episodes. If you like this one, you can binge watch the rest. And without further ado, let's start. As usual, this is a ranked video, so I am going to start by my least favorite. And I'm going to say this is a fragrance that I would not recommend. So in last position, we have Tiziana Terenzi, Moro di Venezia. It's not a bad fragrance. Let me start by saying that. But it's not unique, it's not groundbreaking, and it's also very expensive fragrance. This is a clean citrusy violet fragrance. It is not in the same fashion as the usual Tiziana Terenzi fragrances, which are very potent and mostly ambery or strong fragrances. This is not it. It's very easygoing fragrance. There is a lot of violet and musk here, a little bit of citrus and fruitiness that gives a little bit of like a fruity sweetness to the fragrance. It's elegant, it's nice, pleasant, but forgettable. So this fragrance I would not recommend, especially with the price tag of Tiziana Terenzi. When it comes to performance, actually this one performs very well, but has more of a moderate sillage, which you would expect from these kind of scent profiles. So that was Moro di Venezia from Tiziana Terenzi. Then I would go with Blanch. And Blanch from Byredo is a clean aldehydic fragrances. Is the fragrance that would, for me, represent the image of the clean aesthetic. It is detergent clean almost. This, to me, smells like fresh laundry. It has a little bit of a floral touch, but mostly it's very an aldehydic fragrance. Usually when we talk about aldehydes, people always compare aldehydes to Chanel No. 5 from Chanel. Actually, there are a lot of types of aldehydes. If you really want a comparison, the aldehydes in Chanel No. 5 are very strong, they are clean, but very strong. This is, I would say, almost like a tame version of that aldehyde. And I overall don't like the scent. It is too clean. Like it's a little bit piercing. Although I have to mention that when you spray this, at least in my experience on skin, it does have a little bit more of the floral touch. So it's not very detergent-like. On paper, this is like, to me, a strict detergent. And I don't want to smell like that. And honestly, also Byredo is a brand that is quite expensive. So I'm not sure that I can recommend this fragrance given the price tag, but I know it is a favorite of a lot of people. So it's up to you. If you love the scent profile, I would say this is the best on the market when it comes to almost fresh laundry smell. Blanche from Byredo. Next, I will go with number 9, Nuit de Noho. Now, I think this was my least favorite in my first impression. I did warm up a little bit to the smell, but not much. This is, in a nutshell, a vintage-like sweet patchouli fragrance. A lot of people compare it to Angel. No, don't listen to these people. It's not like Angel. In comparison with Angel, which is also a sweet patchouli, this is why I think people compare them. This is luxe and old money, but very vintage-like. It is not for everyone, and I would say most people will dislike this fragrance because it's also very, very strong. A very strong sweet patchouli and woody fragrance. And it has great performance. This is very long lasting and quite projecting. I would say moderate to strong, but again, I didn't like spray a lot of this because it's like very piercing, almost I can say. So if you love vintage-like fragrances and you love a sweet patchouli, I would say go for it. But I think this is not a fragrance that a lot of people will enjoy. I will give it a slight thumb up because number 9 had the courage to create a vintage-like fragrance, and a lot of brands don't have this option, and there are people who love vintage-like fragrances. So I will give it a slight thumb up also because of the longevity and sillage. So for me personally, I don't like it, and I have to say I don't like patchouli in general, especially sweet patchouli. The next fragrance is a big disappointment because it is very hyped and I didn't like it in my first impression and I still don't like it. This is Lamar from Kajal. Although I have to say that I did warm a little bit to the scent when I tested it on skin. This is, in a nutshell, a fruity bomb. Specifically, we are talking about pineapple. This is predominantly a pineapple fragrance. There are other notes like fruity notes, but mostly you get pineapple and it is synthetic. This is why I don't like it. But when I compare it to other pineapple fragrances, I see that this is better. But I don't like how synthetic this fragrance smells overall. It has also a little bit of a rose scent. And to me, this is not a feminine fragrance. This is actually a totally unisex one. And sometimes I would say it's even leaning masculine, actually. Very long lasting and projecting. So when it comes to performance, we have absolutely no issues with this fragrance. This is, I would say, a polarizing scent. So some people will love it and other people will hate it. If you love Erba Pura, and I'm not saying that they are similar fragrances because they are not, but both of them have this syntheticness about them. Erba Pura was more of a fruit bowl than this one. This is very, very pineapple-y. I would say you would also love this one, especially if you are a man, because I feel like although it's very fruity and has also a predominant rose, it has something quite masculine about it. Could be from the cardamom or the oak moss, I don't know, but it just has this slight masculine edge. So this is a fragrance that I would recommend for those who love this kind of scent profile. Me personally, I'm not a fan, but I definitely get the hype of this fragrance, and the longevity and sillage of it makes me think that it is worth the money, although it's quite an expensive brand. To be honest, I'm not really sold on it to be worth your money. Now, let's get to the next one, another very big disappointment because a lot of people loved this one and I love the brand, so I had really high expectations. This is Sunset Hour from Goldfina Bags. If you hear any noise, I'm so sorry. I don't know what my neighbors are doing. Anyway, this is a fruity, unique scent. Again, you have, as usual, when it comes to Goldfina and Banks, a note that is native to Australia. And in this case, let me check. It's called Guangdong. It has almost a fizziness to it. And I guess this is the smell that I am getting from this fragrance, because there is a note that I do not recognize that is a little bit dry and fizzy in a way. It's not a bad fragrance again. But I don't know, with all the fruity scents that are on the market, I would say it's not enough to use a unique ingredient to make a fragrance stand out. So I overall don't like the scent. It has also quite a lot of pink pepper, so it's a little bit, you know, spicy, and a little bit of sandalwood. I don't get the hype, to be honest, with this fragrance. But if you want a unique fruity scent, you may like this one, especially that if we talk about Goldfina and Banks, it's a brand that is not very expensive. So overall, I would say this is a fragrance that you have to test, because this note, unless maybe you are from Australia, you will know how it smells. Otherwise, I feel like you have to test this fragrance before buying it. Let's get to the next one, and it is from Jusset, Oxino à la vanille. And this to me is a lactonic vanilla fragrance. I know, like, milk is not in the notes, but to me it smells a little bit lactonic, milky, like milk with a lot of vanilla, a little bit of caramel. It has a lot of similarities with Varnish Chanel in the opening. However, the dry down, I feel like they go in different directions. And overall, it's a very comforting scent. So I tested this one day before going to bed, and I really enjoyed it because it was a little bit cold outside. So it was very comforting scent to me. I get the hype because this is a scent profile that people absolutely love. So it's not similar, but I say it's in the same vibe. as Vanille Chanel, as I said, Bianco Latte, not similar again, but it's in the same family, let's say, of fragrances. And a lot of people compare it to Cheirosa 71 from Sol de Janeiro. Honestly, I don't have this fragrance, so I can't tell you, but a lot of people seem to compare it to that one. Overall, it's a nice scent, but it's not groundbreaking, and I wouldn't say you have to go out of your way to get it, especially that this DNA now is very, very popular. So a lot of fragrances on the market with the same vibe, but it's a very successful fragrance. And since it was released, oh my god, they have now a lot of flankers. I don't know, they have now so many flankers of the same fragrance. I didn't test them, but I would imagine why it is easy to come with a flanker to this fragrance, because it's very simple, basic. So it is a perfect layering scent. So practically they can add a lot of notes to this one on the same base and create flankers to the end of time, I would say, when it comes to gourmands. So personally, I like the scent, but I don't find it deserving that much of hype, especially now. So that is Accident à la Vanille. Now from the same brand, we have another one, which is Gourmand Bachour. This is not as simple as Accident à la Vanille. This is more complex. When you first spray it, you may not like it because there is a smoky touch. So it's a gourmand smoky fragrance in the beginning. So it has similarities with Accident à la Vanille, vanilla, a little bit lactonic, but add a huge dose of caramel and especially toffee, like toffee biscuits. This in the dry down to me smells like toffee biscuits and a little bit of a warm milk beside it. Again, very comforting scent, beautiful, I would say, for winter. Much more sweeter than Accident à la Vanille, much more, and it does have more complexity and a little bit of a special touch given this smokiness. Again, this is a fragrance that you have to test on your skin and also wait for the dry down, because the opening may be very deceiving, and I actually like this scent. Now, this is the one that people compare to Bianco Latte. Again, they belong to the same family, but they are not similar fragrances. I would say almost Bianco Latte in comparison with this one smells diluted. This is how dense and sweet this fragrance is. And the thing that really, I would say, makes a big difference to Bianco Latte is this biscuity feeling that I talked about. This is a fragrance that I would not mind to have maybe a travel size of in my collection to wear during winter to bed. So you have this feeling of having something sweet and hot milk beside you. So overall, this is a fragrance that gets a thumb up from me because it has something a little bit different, something special, and I definitely prefer it to Accident à la Vanille, as I said. Next, we have a Middle Eastern brand, but an expensive one. We are talking about Ojar, and the fragrance that I've tested is Infusion Velour. And this is, in a nutshell, a good introduction into oud, a good introduction into Middle Eastern fragrances. The whole brand is a good introduction into this world. So it's a little bit westernized, but still very strong and has a little bit of the characteristics of Middle Eastern fragrances. So it has a little bit of oud and has a lot of blackberry, I believe. So it's fruity, it's sweet, it has a little bit of a spiciness, and overall it's a very good scent with amazing longevity and sillage, which is not a surprise because this brand offers a very high concentration. Totally unisex. It has also a little bit of a black pepper, which for me, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't really categorize it as totally unisex, but I do get a little bit of this black pepper note. And overall, I would say this fragrance gets a thumb up from me, but it didn't wow me. So overall, I will give this one an 8 out of 10. Next, we have my first fragrance to test from THAMEEN, and this is PEREGRINA. I believe this is the bestseller, and this is actually a very elegant rose scent. It is an ambery rose. It's a soft oriental, so you get a lot of the amber, you get the rose, but everything is very soft, made very elegant, and I really like the scent, and I get the hype, definitely. I see it on a woman that is like very put together, like every detail in her is thought of. This is how I see this fragrance. And as an elegant fragrance, it's not very diffusive, so it's not a strong sillage, but it does have good lasting power. So it stayed on my skin for about 6-7 hours with a moderate sillage. So like elegance in a bottle, I would categorize this fragrance. So that was Peregrina from THAMEEN. Last two fragrances, I love them both, and I keep on saying this is my number one, this is my number two, so they are almost interchangeably. For now, I am going to go with Zerjaf Tony Ayomi Monkey Special. There is another one that came out quite recently, and this is a boozy, fruity patchouli. So you see, you have a fruity patchouli, but for me, this is so beautifully done. Very rich, very niche, just an amazing scent. I have to be honest, when I first tested this one, I was not a fan, and it's not that I disliked it, but I found it quite masculine. But wearing this fragrance, I totally fell in love with it. This is a unisex fragrance, and I am debating if I should put it on my wish list. This is how much I like it. It is so beautifully done. A lot of rum, if I'm not mistaken, and patchouli. It is sweet. I believe there is caramel in the note. I don't get per se caramel. I get sweetness in general. A very complex niche-like fragrance. I love it. Really love it. Highly recommend. I know it's very expensive, but in my opinion, it's worth the hype. I'm not saying that I personally will buy it. I mean, it is maybe on my wish list, but I find it worth the money because of how beautiful the scent is, the creation from an artistic point of view, the quality. So the whole composition is absolutely stunning. This is highly recommended if you love the scent profile, of course. Now, our number one for today is Intoxicated from Kilian. Oh my God, do I love the scent. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it does lean masculine, and this is why I am not sure if I personally would buy this fragrance. It's coffee, it's cardamom. Oh, it's the cardamom here is so beautiful. There's also some nutmeg and the aldehyde. You see, this fragrance has an aldehyde touch, which makes it very bright. It doesn't make it feel clean, or you really get the aldehydes. What this note is making in this fragrance is giving a lift, a freshness to it. And it is so beautifully done. The coffee is not very predominant, which I actually like. So if you want a strict coffee fragrance, this is not for you. It's more perfumey. You get the coffee, but mostly I get the cardamom, and it's such a beautiful cardamom note here. Oh my God, I am in love with this fragrance. As I said, my only issue is that it does lean masculine. I wouldn't say that it's totally masculine, especially when I tested this fragrance on my skin. It is kind of unisex, but I am not sure if I can pull it off. So I am actually planning on getting maybe a travel spray from this fragrance if I can, because I find this one the best I've tested to now from Kilian. 10 out of 10 from me. Just love it. Highly recommend it, especially for men. If you want to smell like the name, intoxicating, then definitely get yourself this fragrance. Again, performance is amazing. I wouldn't say that it is a beast, but it's definitely long lasting. So it stayed on my skin for about 7 to 8 hours with moderate to strong projection. And again, I'm not an oversprayer. So this is for me the winner of this episode. And these were all the fragrances. Please tell me in the comments down below, did you try any of these fragrances and what is your opinion about them? Looking forward to see your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, I will highly appreciate it if you give me a like and consider subscribing also to my channel if you didn't already. I have a lot of episodes where I test viral or hyped designer and also niche fragrances. You will find everything in the description down below. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Ciao.